Hi, Dean Lewis here again from Mustard Australia. So what we're going to do today is just show you how we trim and fit a shoe to a horse's foot. And this horse has just been out in the paddock, so his feet aren't in real good condition. So let's do the best we can with what we got, which is what we have to do every day anyway. So I'll just show you a few little quick trips. As you see, I'm one of those farriers that I'm getting old now, so I never, when I started shoeing horses, I never used to use a stand, but I try to make the job as easy as I can these days. So I've got my little hoof helper stand here. Just makes things a little bit easier for me, especially as you get old. You want to look after your body as much as you can. One thing that farriers never learnt to do early in the day was look after themselves. So, you know, you guys got to look after yourself. Farriers and trimmers, even great for vets, these things. It gives you a third hand. So, it's a little tip. For people that are starting out or trimming their own horses or something like that, I make up these little perspex slides. Basically breaks your eye up into 4 pieces, so that when you look at the horse's foot, you can just put that over there and you can ascertain exactly. So this heel here is just further forward than that heel, so we've just got to drop that down a little bit. It shows you the symmetry of the horse's foot. So we'll try and get it as symmetrical as we can. This horse is a little bit crooked in the legs, but we will try and get it as symmetrical as we can. And with that, you can also just put it down there and see whether the horse's foot's flat. And actually put your shoe on it and see whether the shoe's flat too. So everything as flat as you can get it, everything should fit perfectly. So I'll just get on with the job here, job at hand. So as I said, this horse has been in the paddock, so we haven't got a lot of foot to trim off. A little bit of trimming was done last week. We just make sure there's nothing in the down in the cleft of the frog there. Make sure his bars are okay. Take a little bit of hoof off with the knife. Very, very dry conditions here in Australia at the moment. Well, where I am anyway. I'm sure you go to other parts of Australia and you'll find it probably wet, but it's very dry here. So you can see the knife won't hardly even cut. So there's nothing to trim off. We'll just take that heel down a little bit to try and get it back to where that heel is. And you see with the rasp that I don't push hard on the rasp. Turn it off, man, please. I don't push hard on the rasp. I just guide it across nice and gently. And then what I try and do is from under here is get the hoof wall thickness symmetrical. Now it's dropped away a little bit there. If I take that down, I'm going to end up with a big hole. So I don't want that. So I just want to try and get it as flat as I can. As I said, this horse has come straight out of the paddock. Hasn't been shod for quite some time. He's our demonstration horse today, because he stands there and does that. Right, so little clean up, no need to go overboard. We can try out. You can see there now, if I put the rasp across the back, how the heels are at the same height. So all I did was take that heel down a little bit. Just left myself a tiny little bit to burn there. And I can also see where everything is. Breaks up into quarters for me. Right? So just train your eye. As you become more experienced with all these things, you probably don't need to use one of these, but it's always a guide. Sometimes you just go back and have a bit of a look and see, make sure everything's right. You can even go to the point of marking the width of the shoe and the heels on the shoe here, and you can use that as a guide if you're fitting cold. Right, but today we're fitting hot, so we'll just continue on with it. Right. Once we've done that part, we bring his foot forward. Come up, Richard. Onto the stand, and all we're trying to do is keep the hoof wall, not taking it off. We're just trying to keep it straight. So we want that as straight as we can. There's little bumps on it, we take them off. Right. Keep it nice and round, symmetrical. Go right back to the heel and all the way around to the toe. Right. What a lot of people do when they're trimming a foot is come to a point and stop and then start trimming again. And that makes it very hard to fit if it's a square piece, but if it's nice and flowing, it's easy to fit. Then, just to clean it up, all the parts that you couldn't get into with a rasp, you just take your finish sander and just clean it up like that. And then we do the other side. And the same thing happens here again. Toe to the heel, all the way through. And the heel back to the toe. So we see this quite a, had a little flaw in his foot there. So we won't worry about that. And because his leg's crooked, he's got a little bit of a dip in his hoof. As a result of that, that's his conformation. We can't change conformation. We can influence posture. We can't change conformation. Take that little bit out of that crack. And that's our foot trimmed, ready for shoe. So different farriers use different tools for hot fitting horses. Some guys will use a pair of hot fit tongs. Some guys just use a Pritchell. I know Carl O'Dwyer prefers to use a Pritchell. He won't use my tongs. But Carl's been doing it a very long time, and all farriers, just because one does things different to the other doesn't mean it's wrong, it's just his way of doing it. So individually it's what makes the world go round. You just see the fire there, just a 2-burner fire, little door on it, nice and easy. So we're going to use an equilibrium shoe on this horse today. He's got quite a nice foot, apart from the fact he's got a bit of a conformational fault. That what we're trying to do is give him adequate break over where he wants to. Because he's pigeon-toed, he will find his break over. He'll break over to the outside, most likely. Right. With the equilibrium shoe, that's an equilibrium EQ, so that gives him the opportunity to get his break over where he wants it. We're still supporting the hoof capsule. We're just going to use a toe clip on this one today. So we set the toe clip to the angle of the hoof. Now, as I've said before, you can go and measure it if you wish. Just get your ruler and measure the width if you don't want to rush back and forth to the anvil all the time. But hopefully over a couple of years of doing it, I should know what I'm doing. And I should be reasonably close. So always, when I fit the shoes, I try and fit the width first. Right? I was taught this way, to fit the width first and bring the heels in. If you bring the heels in first and then go looking for the width, you've got to bring your heels back out again. So you only want to adjust your heels once. So I fit the width first, width of the shoe first. So I'll take it over and we'll have a bit of a look on the foot. Up over, Richie, please. I'll sweat it. Good boy. So a bit of a look. I want to give him a little bit of expansion on the outside. And we see when we look under the shoe there, it'll show us where the foot is touching and where it's not. Right, as I said, he's been out in the paddock, so we couldn't get it perfectly flat. We've done the best we could. And then we just let the shoe sit there for a second. Never so slightly let the clip in. And we can feel with our fingers where that shoe's sitting. And what happens when you heat a shoe up, regardless of what shoe it is, apart from aluminium, it'll expand 2 millimeters. Right? Stand still. So it'll expand 2 millimeters, so you know that when it's cooled down, it'll shrink back. Right? And we just take off any sole pressure that we've left with the shoe, ensuring that we don't burn it into the sole. Right. Similarly, you can take the shoe forward, which you see some people do, and have a look underneath like that to see if it's where they want it to be. You do that underneath your stand. Usually do it when it's cold, but it's just showing you. So I'll show you that when we cool it down. Right, so we've got our shoe cooled down. You just have a little look to make sure it's right before we go linishing it off or cleaning it up. Right, that it's all fitting where we want it to fit. And again, when you take the shoe forward, have a look and see that it's all where we want it to be. That the clip is set where we want it to be set. And that the nail holes, if you look at this horse, he hasn't got a lot of wall. So we don't want to be nailing him right in here, of course. He won't be able to walk. So we've got to leave some expanse to the shoe a little bit bigger so that we can safely put the nails where we need them. Right, so we pick an adequate nail now for that shoe. What we've done there is we've just safed off the edges of the shoe so that if another shoe happens, or a horse stands on the other side with another shoe or a back shoe, it's got no sharp edge, it'll just come straight off. Right? I mean, the other shoe will come straight off that shoe, not that shoe straight off the horse, I hope. Because I'm like a lot of other farriers, I don't have a great love of having to go back and put my shoes on. It's not cost effective either with the fuel the way it is. So we grab a couple of nails, and if you haven't, if you don't possess a magnetic wristband, some people have it on their magnets on their aprons, but it's certainly a great investment. One thing you don't want to be doing, putting nails in your mouth. Right, so we just checked that that shoe's going to fit adequately. It's all looking pretty good to me. We've covered the heel. Right. We want to give a little bit of expansion on the outside here. Right. And with this horse, if he stands still, it'll make it a lot easier. Put one nail in, straighten it all up. Just pull it over this way a little bit. He hasn't got a lot of foot, so won't be driving nails out near his coronet. We just want to get them where they're safe. So we've got nails where we want them. We can't get them up much higher on this horse, there's not a lot of foot there. And then we'll just clinch it up. Clinch it up and finish it up and it'll be done. So your nails need to be adequate enough to hold it on, but sometimes we can't always get them way up They just really need to be a third of the height of the horse's wall. They don't need to be excessively high. Every time you get them excessively high, you run the risk of causing nail binding the horse or whatever. So because we've already cleaned all that up with our trimming, we don't need to overdo things again. And it's done. And similarly, go around the other side. I cut my nails off to a uniform length. Don't make big rasp marks underneath my nails. What you can do if you're worried about getting the clinch in, is just edge out a little bit under there, which I will on that one. Nice flat edge under your nail. With your clinching tongs, pull down and push in. Right. Make sure that clip is nice and uniform and flat, not sitting up straight. Must be the angle of the horse's hoof wall. There you go. Job's done.